It is a town that excluded non-white people, most frequently African Americans, from remaining in town after sunset. Why? Because niggas was working during the day, and after that work was over, get the going out of here. The methods for enforcing such racial segregation ranged from lynchings. They enacted exclusionary covenants that prevented black people from even owning property in them towns, which is what kept them all white to begin with. These are the towns listed as sundown towns in Alabama. Arab, Alabama. Comments asks why there are no blacks in Arab. A resident who has lived in Arab since 1927 says it's always been that way. There was one in the roof community. They called him Rabbit, Nigger Rabbit. Everybody liked him. He lived there until he died in the 1940s, maybe 50s. If they came shopping or something like that, they'd run him out of town. It was one guy, really a chiropractor. It'd be different now. That happened a long time ago, and it's still in their mind, the black people's mind. Of course, it's gonna be in black people's mind. And they right mind is not gonna go into a dangerous situation unless they have no choice. Until the 1990s, there was a sign as you entered Arab, Alabama that read, "Nigga, don't let that sun on your black ass in Arab, Alabama," which was posted on the web in 2002. Another comment, somebody back in July of 2007. My parents recently moved to Arab after living in Huntsville for several years. I live in New York, but I am shocked every time I visit them in Arab. They have a Walmart, and there is not a single African American person shopping or working. My sister's friends won't even visit her because it is just known that black people don't go to Arab. If I bring it up, my mom says that a few have moved to Arab and it's becoming more friendly. And she says, right. The population, little census data 2020, finally, like, so 2000, looked like there was about 13 black people in that town. And by 2020, it went up to 84 people. Let's see what they're saying about Chickasaw. So one of the comments here, I was born in Mobile in 1931, and being a person of color, the family members were the source of the talk. The sign read, "Nigga, don't get caught here after the sun goes down," or something to that effect. Resident of Mobile. 1960, there were three people, so that's probably one family. 1990, there were 27 people in this town, and by 2,500, and now by 2020, it shows 2,800 people. The next town on the list, Coleman. Another comment here. I went to a wedding in Coleman several years ago, and when I would tell someone where I was going or had been, I was shocked to see how many people told me the story about the sign at the city limits saying, "Don't let the sun," etc., etc. So that was an email correspondence. What else here? According to a graduate student from Coleman, the sign wanted blacks to be out of town before sundown was still visible into the 1970s. The sign may have stood until 1972, according to a former hospital administrator from Coleman. Another comment. My grandmother told us that the drugstore where Greyhound buses used to stop in Coleman had no black facilities at all. Blacks riding on the main bus line from Nashville to Birmingham and point south would step off in Coleman to look for restrooms only to be turned back, and mothers can be heard explaining to their crying children that they would have to wait until further down the road. Another one. My parents made it clear that my sister and I were not to repeat their most lyrical sentiments to just anyone. There are some things we just don't talk about outside the home. It was said that educators like my father could lose their jobs for their views, although I never knew of any such incidents in Coleman. Coleman was proud of its lively classical music scene that dated from the German immigrants of the late 19th century. There were lessons and recitals, music clubs, church music events that drew interdenominational crowds and a thriving concert series. But whenever a touring group came to town that included black members, None of the hotels or motels would house them, much less the art patrons themselves. The blacks would have to find rooms at St. Bernard Abbey, the Benedictine monastery, which also included a college until the 1970s. The cultured Colemanites left it to the brothers to do the right thing. So these devils so savage that they still ain't trying to like, let niggas stay at hotels, motels. It gets no more motherfucking sundown than that, you fucking ignorant niggas in the comments. And you devils. Um, it was also St. Bernard that integrated the city's swimming pool. So one summer around 1965, the pool office was telephoned by someone at St. Bernard wanting to bring a group of out-of-town youths who were staying there for a church retreat. If the speaker indicated that the group was integrated, the pool employee did not realize it. When the group arrived, pool workers saw that its members were black, but admitted them without comment. None of the white swimmers left early or complained, and I never heard about the incident except from my sister who worked at the pool, former resident of Coleman. You have 43 people in 1880, none recorded for the next 50 years. 11 people on census in 1930. 1950, you had 17. 1960, you had 21. 2000, you still have only 27 people. Them numbers is hella low. 2020, now you got 355 people, at least as of 2020, Coleman County as a whole. So if the town of Coleman was wilding, you already know the whole county was on some wild. Let's see, in January 2008, a black Democrat defeated a neo Confederate white Republican to win Alabama's 12th House District from Coleman County. Mm, okay, we're getting somewhere. So now, okay. So it's safe to say that this is the James C. Fields that is referenced as defeating a neo Confederate white Republican. From a previous source, while Coleman County does have black residents, they are only allowed to live in the small town of Colony. The rest of the county is Sundown. I would love to hear from y'all in the comments. Dixie, after wreaking vengeance on the Negro population of Dixie, a small town near here, Dothan, driving every black from the village and killing one last night, a mob is searching the countryside for another Negro. The body of Miss Estelle Brown was found in her home last night, the head pierced by 2 bullets. Across the body lay a rifle. A Negro was seen near the home a short time before the body was found. A mob formed and proceeded to Dixie, of which the major portion of the inhabitants are Negroes. So that's New York Times 1912. And as you see, census data from then to now, 2020, you don't see shit. They ain't even got no, it ain't showing even no Asians, nothing. Nauvoo, in approximately 1930, the blacks lived in a small area near the mining camp, about 5 miles out of town, and there were no restrictions until a black man broke into the house of a prominent citizen of Nauvoo with the intention of harming his wife, or so the story goes. That's always the fucking story. And see, like when it comes to these devils, that's the same story that they would use to justify lynching black men, which, of course, consisted and to be very graphic with it, they would cut off their private, their genitalia, and then maybe go to the extra lengths of not only hanging them, but tarring and feathering them for further humiliation. So, yeah, they could miss me with that harming his wife shit. After that, blacks had to be out of town by 6 in the evening. There was a sign in town that did say, "Don't let the sun set on your heels in this town, nigger." I don't have any idea when the sign came down. I think it was in the early 50s, but it must have come back down with civil rights. I do remember very clearly that all blacks were not allowed to eat in restaurants and had to eat at picnic tables out back. And of course, the restrooms and water fountains were marked whites only. My grandparents had a cotton farm and hired many black men and women to help picking. And according to my 82-year-old mother, they were treated as equals on their farm and served dinner, noon meal, along with everyone else on the farm. She did say that churches and schools were definitely segregated. No surprise there. Former resident of Nauvoo. Black 003. Three black people lived there in 2020. I know I'm probably mispronouncing this shit like a motherfucker, but Onanta, some shit like that. Let's see what they saying. Onanta is located in the Sand Mountain region. My father grew up there and claimed blacks had to leave town before sundown or at least retreat to the other side of the mountain. He also remembered the annual KKK picnic to which the whole town was invited. He and his friends snickered as the Klansmen marched around in a large circle in their masks and robes because, despite their attempt to remain anonymous, the boys could recognize their high school principal by his shoes. Sand Mountain. Okay, let's see what they talk about here. Comments. When I taught in Northeast Alabama, the Mountain area, Boaz, Albertville, etc., was known for excluding blacks historically. As one old timer told one of my students in an interview on the Great Depression and race relations, we didn't have any racial problems back then. As long as they were off the mountain by sundown, there weren't any problems because niggas knew to get the fuck up out of there or don't even go there in the first place to fuck with them devils. You know what I mean? Like, goddamn, how fucking simple is that shit? The natives boast of signs reading, "Nigga, don't let the sun go down on your head." There are still signs up in parts of Sand Mountain that say, "Nigga, don't let the sun fall on your black ass here." And this is from an email in June of 2000. Vestavia Hills. In Vestavia, an incorporated suburb of Birmingham, consisted of several subdivisions. The deeds to the homes and lots bear a restrictive covenant providing that the original purchaser cannot sell or transfer property without the express consent and approval of a committee appointed by the developer. Black people ain't shown up on the census for this town until the year 2000. Finally, in the year 2020, you have about 2,100 people on the census. So, West Point, Alabama. So, let's see comments. An email from January 2008. Southern Party. The Southern Party has its first elected official. The election was nonpartisan, all white town, population 295 in 2000, the year 2000. His brother is a lawyer of choice for the members of the KKK and other white supremacist groups all across the South. And finally, his father is widely believed to have been the main leader of the KKK and other white supremacist activities in Coleman County for the past 5 decades. This is pretty common knowledge in Coleman County. His family has numerous Klan and Council of Conservative Citizens ties. Or the final, Winston County. One of the comments here from 2008 email, it says Winston County is a well known locally as the one place in North Alabama where the KKK is still very active. There have been cross burnings in the past decade there. Alabama Secretary of State, Visible Empire, Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Even though they filed in Louisiana trying to be slick with it, it shows the status exists. Just know the lay of the land, my nigga. That's all I'm really trying to say. You know what I mean? Move with strength and confidence, but just know the lay of the land and know where the fuck to be and where you shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Niggas get lured out to these type of areas and shit and then wonder why motherfuckers come up missing. And we're gonna definitely do a video series on all these missing black people across the United States that no one seems to be fucking talking about. Thank y'all for rocking with me, supporting the channel. If you're loving the content, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, hit the Cash App. Even if you want to make special requests of future content that you would like to see me do videos on, every dollar helps the channel grow. With that said, I'll holla at y'all. Thank you. I appreciate it.